The Dog Rounds. Round 1. 1991. Straight down to it. They'd been here before. Chris Eubank came out backpedaling, threatening to explode with the odd, sudden, jarring right hand, and was once again the complete antithesis to Michael Watson in terms of style. Watson's style, guard held high, gloves cupped around the sides of his face like oversized earmuffs, seemed learned, textbook, whereas Eubank's seemed wholly improvised. He set traps. He worked on instinct, a feeling, a whim. He relied on athleticism. Watson prepared to counteract unpredictability as best he could. He stalked Eubank in round 1 and dug in body shots, lefts and rights, in an attempt to slow him down. Each time he did so, there were cheers and chants from many among the 22,000 fans at White Hart Lane, home of Tottenham Hotspur Football Club. A peculiar thing, too, because Watson was an Arsenal fan, and had even worn their logo on his robe. Then again, this was a fight, not a football match. And in the context of a fight, any old fight, many wanted to see Chris Eubank bashed up and humbled. It was always the way. 2016. Chris Eubank Jr. rarely starts proceedings the old-fashioned way, which is to say straight down to business. But he does so against Nick Blackwell, a sign perhaps of begrudging respect. Gone is the posing and posturing which has blighted some of his previous wins against overmatched Latvians and Lithuanians. This one, in contrast, feels like one of the few proper fights he has had. He flicks out the jab. He moves and samples with his feet every inch of the canvas. At times he scurries like his old man. When close, he bangs Blackwell to the body with right hands and then ties him up. Blackwell, eager to retaliate, is often too slow. He walks Eubank Jr. down and throws out his stiff jab, but this one-dimensional approach gives Eubank Jr. openings. An uppercut a minute and a half into the round, for example, jolts Blackwell's head and precipitates a call for the challenger to bring it on. Blackwell drops his hands and invites more of the same. He will get his wish. Round 2. 1991. The name of the game continued to be Surprise, as Eubank stood still to begin round 2. Momentarily frozen in time, and then ducked his head low and catapulted a rash right hand the way of Watson as soon as he encroached his territory. It failed. It had no impact. But the method was clear. Eubank believed he'd gain success in the bout from one shot. He had that much faith in his power. Watson, of course, disagreed. He went after Eubank, even harder in the second, and had him scuttling around the ring's perimeter. There was no evident fear of the power he possessed, nor was he a sucker for single shots. Flurries were different, mind. Eubank's flurries, when thrown, were able to penetrate Watson's guard and fluster him. He gained success this way in the early going. "Break him down, Michael," said a wise voice from his corner. 2016. Traps are being set. Eubank Jr. retreats to a neutral corner as he did in round 1, and Blackwell pounces. He gets excited. He unloads punches. He knows the chances of catching Eubank Jr. stationary are few and far between. Right hands graze the back of the challenger's head and his shoulders. But Eubank Jr. then shakes his head dismissively. He throws a left uppercut and right hand, which miss, before rattling off more rights into Blackwell's midsection. They appear to have no effect. Blackwell continues coming forward and throwing out his jab. He's timing it better now, too. One knocks Eubank Jr. off balance as he tries to mimic his father with a reckless right, while another puts him back on his heels. It reminds Eubank Jr. to sharpen up. He does so in the form of a right and a left to the body, followed by a beautifully picked right uppercut. A sign, once again, he possesses the variety. Round 3. 1991. Wavelengths and bodies connected in round 3 as both Eubank and Watson met in the center of the ring and immediately started throwing. There was no let-up. Eubank still pursued a home for his sneaky right hand, while Watson, far from smooth, had to switch from natural counterpuncher to makeshift aggressor. Tried to force the pace and, at times, wasted energy in doing so. Still, a right hand thrown as Eubank prepped his own definitely registered, as did the chopping right Watson rained down on his opponent as he ducked for cover. Referee Roy Francis split them from a clinch and Eubank spat on the canvas. It was a sign things were heating up, that it was time to get down and dirty. They swung rights at the same time. Both landed. Eubank dipped to avoid the follow-up, then seemed content to hold. 2016. In an odd turn of events, it's Blackwell doing the Eubank act to start round 3. He pouts and poses in anticipation of the bell, as if having studied his opponent's father, and then gallops toward the middle of the ring behind his high-held guard. Soon, he gets Eubank Jr. where he wants him, which is trapped on the ropes, but finds himself still outlanded when the challenger emerges with combinations and countless uppercuts. One right uppercut lands and ignites something in Blackwell. He trades back. The crowd get to their feet. They sense something special. They celebrate violence. Blackwell, though, calms down and returns to his jab. All in good time, he seems to say. He pops a jab in the face of Eubank Jr., a shot well-timed, and this again knocks him off balance. Eubank Jr. shakes it off. He wiggles his hips. The crowd of around 2,500 mock him. In answer, he uncorks another blindingly fast combination, including a left hook so startling it has Blackwell momentarily feeling like he's surrounded. Regardless, he begs for more. Round 4. 1991. To start round 4, Eubank threw a right hand so unorthodox and circular in its motion, it seemed he was winding up to hit a high striker at a fairground. Everything went into it, all his might. He wanted top score, but still, it had no impact. Watson smothered it as he rolled forward and was quick to sink a left uppercut into his rival's belly. A punch ruled low by the referee. Aiming back at the head, both churned out crosses at mid-range, some landing, some missing, and Eubank was soon cut over his left eye, a small nick above the eyelid, as well as on the run. "What a fight," said ITV commentator Reg Gutteridge to close out the round. 2016. Rat-a-tat-tat goes the jab of Eubank Jr. as he skates around the ring and uses that particular punch to befuddle Blackwell and create openings. It's an effective ploy, too, because off the jab, consecutive right uppercuts land flush and knock the champion's head back. Eubank Jr. then capitalizes on this momentum and goes after Blackwell, turning the tables, driving him to the ropes. More punches are uncoiled. Blackwell answers with a right of his own, and Eubank Jr. decides to back off with his hands by his sides. He smiles, consults his jab. Moments later, he will reveal another trap, this time retreating to the corner of his own volition and goading Blackwell. He then makes Blackwell miss, and they swap hooks in close. After that, Eubank Jr. goes for a walk and buys some time. He tours the ring. Blackwell's nose and mouth are covered in blood. He grimaces, the taste on his tongue. Round 5. 1991. Watson now brought more than just pressure and pace. He was landing clean shots as well. 2 rights, for instance, thrown one after the other, caught Eubank and sent him to the ropes. Then he looked to land more. Eubank, to his credit, maintained composed, unflappable. Nothing changed the expression on his face when punches were exchanged. He simply moved, created space, and then pot-shotted rights of his own whenever the opportunity presented itself. He may have been getting outworked and desperate for a lull in the action, but still he placed belief in his ability to turn things around with one punch. Just one. Nigel Benn sat ringside, hoped that wouldn't be the case. He told ITV's Gary Newbon in between rounds, "Nobody deserves to win a title more than Michael Watson." 2016. Blackwell catches Eubank Jr. with a right hand and follows with 3 more. Thrown as Eubank Jr. sneaks low and tries to hold. They scuff the top of his head. Eubank Jr., once upright, lands some more body shots and then back-to-back right uppercuts, which give Blackwell whiplash. Richie Woodall, Channel 5's co-commentator, worries Blackwell might be taking too many. He says he needs to get to the later rounds, his territory, but to ideally take less punishment in the process. As if hearing this, Blackwell ups his urgency, pins Eubank Jr. in a neutral corner, and throws everything he has. Eubank Jr., though, trembles like a man being tasered, making himself almost impossible to hit, and then gets away with the help of a clinch. Once free, he proceeds to overwhelm Blackwell with punches, shoving him towards the corner, and even gestures to someone at ringside with his left glove before launching that same glove the way of his opponent. It looks good, but it's blocked. Not only that, a lapse in concentration has emerged. Lo and behold, as Eubank Jr. continues to throw hands haphazardly, Blackwell connects with a right counter, his best shot of the fight, and it wobbles the cocky challenger. The crowd erupt. They think he's hurt, but a wry smile, flashed moments after returning his gum shield to his mouth, reveals that's not the case. Round 6. 1991, Eubanks pushed Watson towards the canvas with his right glove and then motioned for him to rise. No time for respite. The referee, however, admonished Eubank for pushing, told the timekeeper it wasn't a knockdown, and then wiped Watson's gloves before signaling the restart. On command, they went at it again. Eubank auditioned some more Hail Mary right hands, his supposed payoff punch, while Watson methodically marched him down, caught him in corners, and tried to stop him squirming away. Both had success. Watson would sometimes get a little too keen in exchanges and leave himself open to Eubank encounters, but Eubank also seemed to be tiring in this round, and appeared impatient for the bell. Of course, when it finally sounded, he stood on the spot, tapped his gloves together, and convinced all he was in complete control. He was Chris Eubank, after all. 2016. Buoyed by the right hand he landed in the previous round, Blackwell strides forward with renewed vigor in the 6th. He chops down more rights whenever he gets Eubank Jr. close. He tries to rough him up. He follows him diligently, and to such an extent that Gary Lockett, his trainer, signals for him to cut off the ring by taking a big step to his right. But still, Blackwell continues to aimlessly follow. It works for Eubank Jr. He keeps dictating the play, peppering Blackwell with his jab, and then glides forward behind his left shoulder, used to protect his chin from harm whenever he wants to rest in a clinch. Once comfortable in this position, he slots in uppercut after uppercut, snapping Blackwell's head back like a speedball. Not once does Blackwell appear hurt, however. Through a bloody mask, he sticks out his tongue and outwardly relishes the onslaught. Round 7, 1991. The more Eubank tried to move, the more Watson made a concentrated effort to target his body with hooks and uppercuts. It was a simple plan. It was, Watson believed, a method of slowing him down and creating openings upstairs. This proved the case in round 7. Body shots paved the way for a left hook and 2 right hands, which nailed a stationary Eubank. Suddenly he looked disorganized again. Right hands were aimed over his low left hand, and he was being ambushed. "Keep your hands up, Mike!" came a shout from Watson's corner. They sensed he was winning, that the momentum was with him, but they also knew how quickly it could all change. 2016. Eubank Jr. comes out blasting. 30 seconds in, he lands uppercuts at will, turns them into hooks, and then, with Blackwell against the ropes, drills shots to his body. Blackwell throws back, of course, if only to show he's not hurt. But this just leaves him open to more of the same. Uppercuts smash into his already bloody nose. Double and triple left hook combinations highlight the difference in speed. And Gary Lockett, Blackwell's third eye, peers through the ropes, a look of concern on his face, to make sure his man is okay. He is. Just about. One right hand thrown in response gets him out of trouble and creates space. But Eubank Jr. is now relentless. He traps Blackwell on the other side of the ring and rattles through his extensive arsenal of punches all over again. Blood covers the lower half of Blackwell's face. He swallows 3 uppercuts in close and keeps pressing forward. "Do you like taking these uppercuts or what?" Lockett asks his fighter in the corner. Round 8, 1991. "By now, Eubank should be trying to hurt Watson," said ITV co-commentator Jim Watt. "Stand his ground, use his strength, and use his punching power. But he's still being backed up, and he hasn't really tried to stop Watson in his tracks. I think it's high time he did that." There were certainly opportunities for him. Both men were tiring at this stage, their work had become sloppy. And such was Watson's exuberance. He often left openings. Eubank exploited this on occasion. He timed Watson's swings and punched in between them. A right hand in particular seemed to have an impact in round 8. It made Watson stop and think, if only for a moment. But once his head cleared, he was back on Eubank, working both hands, desperate to win the round, unwilling to allow his rival to have the final say in any exchange. 2016. Chris Eubank, the father, now 49, lingers a little too long between rounds and is told off by referee Victor Laughlin. Seconds out means exactly that. Get out of the ring. He does as he's told, albeit belatedly, and the round starts. Richie Woodhall in commentary calls for Blackwell to employ a cross-armed defense, forearms positioned horizontally in front of the face. Against the Eubank Jr. uppercut, he says it would serve him well. Blackwell is oblivious to such advice, though. Besides, it's not solely the uppercuts causing him problems. 4 left hooks, for example, whack him around the head and back him into a neutral corner, before Eubank Jr. then throws every other possible shot his way, including a series of manic left and right hooks, all dispatched with a deranged look on his face. Blackwell offers a right hand of his own to show his survival instincts are still intact, but Eubank Jr. can't understand how or why the fight continues. He looks out at the crowd, shrugs, and points at Blackwell as if to say, "How is he still in this?" They then grin at each other. Blackwell, unconcerned, pushes Eubank Jr. into a corner and tries to hit something, anything, but his work noticeably lacks the snap and power of his counterpart. They end up in a tired embrace. Eubank Jr. takes a deep breath as he returns to his corner. Specks of Blackwell's blood cover his back and shoulders.